Welcome to Ray at the Movies, and this is part of my 31 Days of Halloween. It is A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm thinking of doing 1 all the way up to 5. I can't do and do part 7. I can't do Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare because they don't have it free streaming anywhere. They have 1 through 5 and then 7 on Netflix until June 30th. So now you know that this is in June because they said I have until June to watch those. I've watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Is one of my favorite films growing up. Now, I saw the movie trailer when I was a kid, and of course saw the VHS box covers for the movies as time went on. And the movie came out on November 16th, 1984. And this is one of my, like I said, this is one of my favorite Wes Craven films. And this is what helped launch his career, as well as save New Line Pictures, who was struggling. That's why they call it the house that Freddy built, because this movie helped save them. And yeah, so let's get started. Let's go with the budget. The movie cost $1.1 million and grossed in the U.S. $25 million with a worldwide gross of $57 million. So this was a hit. And the cast is Heather Langenkamp, who is in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, Shocker, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and Star Trek Into the Darkness. We also have John Saxon from Blood Beach, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Enter the Dragon. We have Ronnie Blakely from A Return to Salem's Lot, Murder by Numbers, Someone to Love, and Nashville. Amanda Wass from When the Whistle Blows, the TV series, Force 5, Fast Times at Richmond High, I forgot she was in that movie, and Silverado, one of my favorite westerns, and Fast Times at Richmond High is one of my favorite comedies. We have Tasu Garcia, who was in Predator 2, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Candyman, Day of the Dead, and Devil in the Flesh. I think it's supposed to be Devil in the Flesh too. I gotta look back up. Johnny Depp. This was actually his first movie. He's well known for, of course, 21 Jump Street, the series. And he stayed through the whole show. I think it lasted 4 or 5 seasons. And he stayed through the whole entire run. He didn't leave because that also helped launch his career. And then he was in, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean 1 through 5, Platoon, Edward Scissorhands. I didn't know he was in Platoon until when I watched that movie again. Directed by Wes Craven, who did Scream 1 through 4, Swamp Thing, The Hills Have Eyes 1 and 2, New Nightmare. He wrote The Hills Have Eyes Part 1 and 2, Swamp Thing, The Shocker, The People Under the Stairs. Music by Charles Bernstein, who did The Entity, Cujo, Deadly Friend, and Excessive Force. And I actually have the soundtrack to Deadly Friend. Okay, here's the storyline. On Elm Street, Nancy Thompson and a group of her friends, comprising Tina Gray, Rod Lane, and Glenn Lentz, are being tormented by a clawed killer in their dreams named Fred Krueger. Nancy must think quickly as Fred tries to pick them off one by one. When he has you in your sleep, who is there to save you? The film plot concerns a group of teenagers who are targeted by Krueger, an undead child killer who can murder people through their dreams as retribution against their parents who burned him alive. Now, I have some favorite scenes and I'm going to go into those. My favorite scenes is the beginning of the credits where you get to see him build the glove. I also like the scene where he goes through the wall when Nancy is sleeping. And there's some other scenes in there that I'm not going to give away. This isn't really giving it away. It's in the credits, and not much. There's so many things. What I like about the Nightmare on Elm Street, this is when Freddy Krueger was scary. Or Fred Krueger as in the first one. He's scary in the second one. The third one, I don't remember if he was scary at all. But he was a menace. Whereas the one later on films, you kind of had wisecracks, and you just watch the movies to see him pick them up one by one. And he was no longer scary. And that's why I liked A New Nightmare, because it kind of returned him back to his roots, where it kind of made him kind of scary. Okay, here's some trivia. New Line Cinema was saved from bankruptcy by the success of the film and was jokingly nicknamed the house that Freddy built. All of the boiler room footage in the film was shot in the basement of Lincoln Heights Jail in Los Angeles, which was condemned shortly after production wrap due to high levels of asbestos. Man, that's scary. Asbestos is a dangerous thing. In the original script, Freddy was a child, and you can kind of fill in the gap. I don't want to get hit by YouTube because using that word. However, the decision was made to change him into being a child murderer to avoid accusations of exploiting a series of child in California around the time of production. He was rewritten as a child in the 2010 remake starring Jackie Earle Ray. Oh, shoot. I just, hold on. Oh, man, that's... Okay, let me get back to... Wes Craven first came up with the basic idea for the movie from a series of articles in the Los Angeles Times over a 3-year period about a group of Southeast Asian refugees from Hong tribe, several who died in their throes of horrific nightmares. The group had come to the U.S. to escape the murderous reign of Pol Pot, and within a year of arriving, 3 men had died, all in similar situations. The young, otherwise healthy man would have a nightmare, then refuse to sleep for as long as he could. When he finally fell asleep from exhaustion, he awoke screaming, then died. Autopsy results revealed they had not died from heart failure, but had simply died. It was this inability to find a cause of death that intrigued Craven so much. Medical authorities have since called the phenomenon Asian death syndrome, a variant of sudden and unexpected death syndrome, Enberg. Heather Langenkamp beat over 200 actresses for the role of Nancy Thompson, among them Jennifer Grey, Demi Moore, Courtney Cox, Tracy Gold, and Claudia Walls. Alan Plaska, Heather Camp's boyfriend at the time of shooting, is credited for creating Freddy's nursery rhyme. The original glove was later used in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and was also been seen hung on the wall of the work shed in Evil Dead 2. This was a response to the use of the Evil Dead on the television screen in this film, and part of the continued banter between directors Wes Craven and Sam Raimi. However, when Wes Craven loaned the glove to a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warrior set, it got lost, and it is rumored to be in possession of Robert Englund's agent. The inspiration for the character of Freddy came from several sources in Wes Craven's childhood. Fred Krueger was a schoolmate of his with whom he had shared a paper route and who had bullied him for several years. In The Last House on the Left, Craven also used this experience as inspiration, calling the villain Krog. Freddy's burns came from a man with severe burn scars by whom Craven had once been terrified as a child. And Freddy's attire, especially the dirty clothes and hat, was inspired by an alcoholic hobo that Craven saw staring at him through his window one day when he was 10 years old. Wes Craven's original concept for Freddy Krueger was considerably more gruesome, with teeth showing through the flesh over the jaw, pus running from the sores, and part of his skull showing through the head. Makeup artist David B. Miller argued that an actor couldn't be convincingly made up that way, and a puppet would be hard to film and wouldn't blend well with the live actors. So these ideas were eventually abandoned. It would take about 3 hours to get Robert Englund into Freddy Krueger's makeup. The very first time Freddy is seen in the movie, he isn't being played by Robert Englund, but by a special effects man, Charles Bernardini, as Bernardini was the only one who knew exactly how to cut the glove and insert the blades. Amanda West was handing out candy at her mom's house on Halloween following the film's release and was surprised to see so many trick-or-treaters dressed as Freddy. She eventually told one of them that she played Tina in the movie, but he didn't believe her. According to Wes Craven, Robert Englund was not the first choice for the role of Fred Krueger. Craven had initially wanted a stuntman to play the part, but upon testing several stuntmen, he realized he needed a real actor. Other ideas was to cast a elderly actor, but he feared they would be too soft for the way he would have wanted the character to act. Englund eventually got the part by showing up at his audition with ash smeared under his eyes to sink them, greasing his hair back with a dipstick from under the hood of his car, and blinking as little as possible. In the original script, Freddy's famous red and green sweater was red and yellow, based on the colors worn by Plastic Man, who, like Freddy, could change his form. The idea was that whatever Freddy changed into would be yellow and red. However, when Wes Craven read an article in Scientific American in 1982 that said that the two most contrasting colors to the human retina were red and green, he decided to alter the colors. Freddy Krueger was designed by Wes Craven to be the typical silent serial killer, such as Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers. However, in the sequels, Freddy developed a cheeky personality that enabled him to be the black-humored villain. Making sure. The idea behind the glove was a practical one, Wes Craven's part, as he wanted to give the character a unique weapon, but also something that could be made cheaply and wouldn't be difficult to use or transport. At the time, he would study primal fears embedded in the subconscious of people of all cultures, and discovered that one of the fears is attacked by animal claws. Around the same time, he saw the cat unsheathe its claws, and the two concepts merged. Although in the original script the blades were fishing knives, not steak knives, as in the finished film. A few days before the film was to go into general release, the producing lab that had the negative informed New Line Cinema that it wouldn't be keeping the film because it had not been paid. At the last minute, however, Robert Shane was able to negotiate a deal. In the movie, Nancy is shown watching Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead as she struggles to stay awake watching it. Craven decided to include the scene because Raimi had featured a poster of Craven's The Hills Have Eyes in that first film as a jab to show audiences the movie they're watching is scarier than Craven's. As response to Craven's in-joke, Raimi showed Freddy Krueger's glove in the tool shed scene of Evil Dead 2 and later in Ash vs. Evil Dead in honor of his passing. Yes, so there you have it. Nightmare on Elm Street, like I said, is one of my favorite films. The cast is fantastic. Robert Englund really is able to portray the killer very well. The cast does a great job, like I said. There would be Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 7, A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warrior, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and and Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, as well as Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I could have mixed up. I think I might have mixed up. Hold on, I wrote down. So yeah, with that, I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed this Halloween special series. I hope to do the rest of them, like I said. I don't know. I might just do the first one. With that, I'm out of here. I forgot. I give Nightmare on Elm Street 5 stars because I really like this film. It really holds up still to this day as I watched it on Netflix. Looks fantastic. I'm heard they're going to do a 4K release. I don't know if they're going to release all the movies in 4K or if it's just the first one. And I don't know what company is going to release it. I was hoping that Scream Factory, with doing such a great job with the Friday the 13th and Halloween box sets, would release Nightmare on Elm Street. That's everybody's dream, most from what I understand, and that's my dream too, that they will get a hold of that and do that. But that's okay. It doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. With that, I'm out of here, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope that you like this, because this is something that I'm going to keep going. I don't know if I'm going to post 2 or more. If I do 2 or more, I might include the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels back to back. Alright, with that, I'm out of here. Have a good